She leads with her heart. She brings such an array of experience to the role of chair. And the fun part is, I just found out a little while ago, she has connections back to Huron County. How do you like that? She said she went to high school in Wingham, so of course the conversation evolved to, oh, well, where near Wingham did you live? And she said Monarch. And I just looked at her and I said, in an orange brick house? And she looked right back at me. One concession literally due south of where I called home. So it's a small world, and that's why it's important that we take time to think about how can we work together in terms of supporting rural Ontario, something that we're all passionate about and we care about. First and foremost, I want to thank ROMA. They've done a beautiful job in their efforts of making this conference a success. My understanding is it's the largest group of delegation meetings that we've had in some time, and it's got the largest attendance in a number of years as well. So congratulations to you, Robin, and to the entire team at ROMA. And it's wonderful to have this opportunity to meet with you today and put a spotlight on rural Ontario. At the end of Shane's comments, he said something that really stuck with me. He said, community is something we create. And I can tell you that that is where my heart is as well. And as Ontario's Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, it is an honour to represent a rural riding with 14 municipalities. We don't have one city, but let me tell you, our urban centres lead by example, and their hearts are so big, and we have amazing leadership around all 14 council tables to make sure that our communities at home are presenting opportunities for people to be proud to call them home, and most importantly, our communities that are looking to the future as well. And that's how we want to work with all of you as well across Ontario. And I want you to know that we're going to do our very best to ensure small communities across this province can trust that our government truly understands and advocates for rural Ontario. I can tell you with certainty that our caucus is steadfast in that support. And our government is blessed with strong rural municipal leadership and experience. Of course, the names John Yakubuski, Laurie Scott, Bob Bailey, you're all familiar with them. But I can tell you we have become so much stronger with the new folks, the rookies, if you will, that have joined us at our caucus table. For example, Graydon Smith, who has served as the president of AMO. And we have many other caucus members and ministers who have been mayors or served on council, like Vic Videlli, George Peary, Kevin Holland, Brian Saunderson. I always call him Sanderson. He sits right behind me in the house. You'd think I'd catch on to that sooner than later. Sorry, Brian. But Brian Saunderson from Collingwood, John Jordan, Stefan Zarazin, Charmaine Williams, Ernie Hardiman, Trevor Jones, Anthony Leonardi, gave him a new last name too, and Andrew Dowie. We all work so hard together to make sure that your voice is heard at Queen's Park. And I myself have a unique experience in the sense that, as some of you may recall, I, as a young teenager, grew up with a municipal office in my home, but more importantly, I myself served as a rural community advisor when I began my career with OMAFRA just a couple of years ago. And collectively, somebody's laughing at that. They know how old I am, maybe. But collectively, we appreciate that Ontario's small towns and rural communities matter. And the success of our small communities is pivotal. It's crucial to our overall province's prosperity. And I have to say that Premier Doug Ford gets it. And he is committed to driving Ontario made, both in the sense of productivity and ensuring that we have safe and secure supply chains right across this province, north, south, east, and west. And I can tell you that I sit back and I learn so much because he brings a business lens to everything he does. And that business lens is driving important actions. We're driving renewed importance and resurgence in manufacturing, in mining, in agriculture, in food production. In fact, just recently I heard the Minister of Agriculture from Saskatchewan concede that Ontario has become the food and beverage manufacturing hub of Canada. Exactly. And that matters why? It matters because our small communities throughout this province contribute to that success. And when investments are made specifically in rural and Northern Ontario, economic opportunities improve for people and businesses alike. You know, it wouldn't be ROMA if we didn't talk about our RED program. You know, I think it's important to recognize that RED's been around for some time. In fact, when I worked for OMAFRA, it was just nicely growing its legs. But I can tell you, our government has ran with this program, and we've worked with our municipalities to make it something that is second to none when it comes to the return on investment. Ladies and gentlemen, since 2019, our government has invested over $21.6 million to fund more than 380 projects designed specifically to enhance economic opportunities in small-town rural Ontario. That's a lot of money. That's big investment. And these projects are helping to open doors to economic development, creating jobs, and importing ideas, and working outside of the box, all in the spirit of supporting community advancement. And you know, I have so many examples. I think about the Mayor of Central Huron and spending time with him and some key community leaders in December, late November, early December, as he took to a wheelchair, and we were on Main Street looking and reviewing at the efforts that his municipality did, specifically in the town of Clinton, to make sure that every business was accessible, from doorbells to ramps, and understanding the importance of accessibility. That was pretty cool. And then we have revitalization projects, and the list just goes on and on. I want to share some more examples with you. One of the projects funded just last year alone was received by the Innovation Cluster of Peterborough and the Kawarthas. And it had created an opportunity for this organization to support startup businesses and to help accelerate business success, all the while creating jobs. They've established themselves as a hub that brings entrepreneurs together with successful business leaders to create an environment that generates success and innovation. I loved visiting there, and I really appreciate MPP Dave Smith for giving me the opportunity to join him and really see firsthand what can be achieved when you bring the right environment together. Because at this innovation cluster in Peterborough, they actually also invest in in-house space, providing offices and boardrooms for people who are starting their businesses and want to put forward that professional approach. And they also have an array of tools for people to use. I have to tell you, when we were heading into the boardroom to meet with some of the directors that are responsible for this cluster, I had to stop because I was taken back that in this innovation cluster, of course it makes sense once I saw it, they actually even had a 3D printer for people to work on, to create an environment so that their ideas actually become reality. And that's just one example. There are so many others. For instance, improvements to Tillsonburg's airport, the rehabilitation of buildings at the Muskoka Heritage Place in Huntsville, building improvements at the Aboriginal Labour Force Development Centre. It's a circle, particularly, an Indigenous not-for-profit employment and training organization has created, which is located in the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. That matters. Other projects across the province also involved funding initiatives like youth employment strategies that was realized in Middlesex County, as well as business and market plans development. And in particular, the Bay of Quinte utilized RED funding to increase their shoulder season tourism. And there was also a business concierge service that was established in North Perth. But there's one other project that I really want to take some time on to highlight in terms of big dreams, huge returns. You know, in 2022, I went to visit with Steve Clark in Gananoque, and we met with our local municipal leaders there. And it was there we celebrated a RED investment that resulted in one project, a phenomenal project that has lasting impact, and it's known as the Wanderer. And you know, it's interesting. I want to give a shout out, and she's a friend from that, I will dare say, from junior farmer days. So again, just a couple of years ago. And there's some applause there. Some junior farmers are in the house. Very good. But ladies and gentlemen, Junior Farmers Association of Ontario is a youth organization that originates back to 1914, 1915 with the goal of self-help and community betterment. That motto today in 2024 has evolved into 4 words: building community, building leaders. And her worship, Mayor Karina Smith-Gatke. Oh, people know that junior farmer. And Karina, she actually has done an amazing job in terms of building community, building leaders. And working with her local municipalities, she has made something pretty special. A $45,000 investment from the Rural Economic Development Fund has seen the creation of an online initiative where a local wanderer is promoting the area. And guess what? Since they launched this, he has had 350,000 views to date, and his followers are from all around the world: Canada, US, Cuba, Germany, France, Philippines, and even New Zealand. And it's interesting to note, because I was asking her about it on Friday night, thank you very much for returning my text on a Friday night, Corey, that the most viewed video that he has done to date has been titled Mindful Fishing. And this particular episode featured a registered nurse that went fishing with first responders who have PTSD. The wanderer now gets recognized wherever he goes, and the local support is so much bigger than originally anticipated. Over 100 local businesses are supported by this project, and social media influencers are engaging with the wanderer. And his episodes have actually been picked up by a TV station, PBBS, and they're actually showing these online initiatives in their TV programming and airing to an audience of 1.8 million. Just imagine what that's doing for Gananoque, Leeds, and 1,000 Islands, and all the neighboring communities. And that all started from $45,000 investment and a vision. And to quote Shane again, it's building a community, because I think he was so right when he said, community is something we create. You know, it's amazing with the wide variety of projects and activities that we have eligible for RED funding. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing where you go in your local municipalities to build awareness and to make people excited about opportunities that lie ahead of you. You know, projects can help lay the foundation for economic success. And that's why I'm pleased to announce that we're opening another stream, a new intake for the Rural Economic Development Program, and that intake opens today. The new intake for the RED program will provide financial support to rural municipalities, not-for-profit groups, and Indigenous communities or organizations for projects that address barriers to economic development. And it allows, communities to build community capacity and better position their communities to retain and, most importantly, attract more jobs to small-town rural Ontario. So RED is open. Think about what you need to bring to your communities and work together to get that application in. You know, applications for the RED intake will be accepted until February 21st, and I look forward to seeing what transpires between now and then. You know, in talking about rural Ontario, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the importance of supporting our small communities. Our government totally appreciates and recognizes, in the spirit of high-speed connectivities and affordable energy options. And we remain committed to connecting all Ontarians, as you know, by 2025, and we continue to enable natural gas expansions across this province. And I know that you'll appreciate hearing from Minister Surma this week as well. But there's something else, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you about. And it's something, you know what they say sometimes, what's old is new again. And I want to talk about a rural economic development path forward. Robin, I loved hearing, and I did not know this until you talked about your strategic planning process right now. I think there's a lot of synergies that we can realize. Your strategic planning is going to have a vision for 24 to 2027, and this aligns really nicely. You know, when we talk about the expansion of connectivity, we have to recognize as well, during the pandemic and most importantly coming out of it, we're seeing a demographic transformation. The long-time trend of seeing people leaving our small towns into the larger urban centers is reversing. It's shifting. Stats are showing a positive story for us. New residences, new businesses, and more opportunities are coming to small-town Ontario. The town I live closest to in Bruce County, Teeswater, oh my goodness, we have a community hub called the Tap House. It opened just before Christmas, and every evening that main street has a lot of cars on it again, not only because people are using the town hall, but because people are enjoying the Tap House as well. Little things like that matter. Downtowns and rural communities are seeing revitalization, like I just mentioned, and increased patronage. This is Ontario's moment. You know, I'm sincere in saying this because not only do I see it, but I believe it as well. And those of you who know me won't be surprised when I say, I believe in small towns because I believe in rural. And you know, that's where I come from. That's who I am. Does that sound familiar? Do I see a show of hands anywhere? Did anyone think of Paul Brandt's song, Small Towns, Big Dreams? Because that's where that line comes from. But it's so fitting, ladies and gentlemen, because in all seriousness, our government is ready to work with you to seize this moment. And that's why today I'm proud to announce that our government is going to begin consultations, a listening exercise that will ultimately inform a new rural economic strategy that ultimately, working in tandem and concurrently with ROMA, will complement each other so very well. We want to hear from you where you think that proverbial puck is going in terms of local business development opportunities. And we also recognize that no two communities are alike in this province, and the opportunities because of that will differ. But we have a role to play. We have a role where we can work together in supporting rural economic growth and to help rural communities plan for success. And the first step, as I alluded to moments ago, will be to listen to you, to hear your thoughts, your experiences, your ideas, as well as your inspiration. Your engagement will help inform a strategy that will position small communities to realize their potential. And it's my hope that by working together, we can build an even brighter future for rural Ontario. Thank you. You know, at home in my riding, community influencers collaborated a couple of years ago on symposiums known as R2R. Just by a show of hands or a clap, are people familiar with the symposiums in Huron County called Rural Talks to Rural, R2R? There should be a few of you out there. And the goal of those symposiums was to facilitate an arena, if you will, where ideas and thoughts about how to address the realities communities were facing were addressed. This leads to potential solutions and ultimately actions, and it serves as my inspiration for our initiative that we announced today. We're going to work with stakeholders and partner ministries on a broader approach to identify trends and conditions impacting communities and, most importantly, opportunities to shine from an economic perspective. And we look forward to seeing where your tiny town talks go, because they too will lend very, very nicely into this overall vision and goal that we have, Robin, and we'll work with you and keep our ear open on that. You know, we're going to start right now here at ROMA. I invite each and every one of you to stop by the Maple Room tomorrow, the Maple Room, between 1:30 and 4:30 to provide your thoughts on a few questions to kickstart this initiative. You can also drop by our booth in the trade show to share your thoughts and your ideas. And I want to share with you that the members of our OMAFRA team will be listening because we want to hear from you. And most importantly, we want to effectively engage anyone who has an idea and a thought that will ultimately make a difference. Just to make it easy and recognizing we need to embrace technology where it is, we're also launching a webpage with key discussion questions to help gather more information and additional feedback. But that's not all. I'd also like to share with you and announce today that we'll be hosting a summit in late February. The virtual summit actually will be fashioned after our highly successful food summits that generated a strong strategy known as Grow Ontario. And our virtual summit focused on rural Ontario will bring together leaders and stakeholders from across the province to discuss both the challenges and, most importantly, opportunities facing rural Ontario. Think about Corey Smith-Gatke. Talk to her. Figure out how they came about that idea to launch The Wanderer. Reach out to people from Peterborough to find out more about the innovation cluster. Or talk to Chris Snell in North Perth to hear about the business concierge service that they created. Ladies and gentlemen, there's so many good ideas out there. And we've also captured, just so you know, every red project on our OMAFRA website. It's broken down on a regional basis. And I encourage you to go out and when you have a moment, take a look at that website page as well to see how you can be inspired with projects that might fit in your home communities. You know, I look forward to working with you to ensure our small communities can identify potential and, most importantly, embrace economic opportunities. So just to close, I want to again thank Robin and ROMA, everyone involved in organizing this year's biggest and, I will dare say, soon to be declared the most successful conference. And I really appreciated the opportunity to speak to you here today. Your insights, your ideas and perspectives help to guide me and our government. And I appreciate all the opportunities we have to have a chat, whether it's in the hallway, in the trade show, or during delegation meetings. I'm sincere when I say, just like I did with the agriculture and food industry, I share with you today respectfully, the future for rural Ontario is bright, especially when we work together, ladies and gentlemen. And Robin and I were talking about earworms earlier today, and I have that Paul Brandt song in my head, okay? I even was listening to it coming into Toronto last night. And in that song, Paul Brandt also sings, "The best things that I've ever seen come from small towns and big dreams." Ladies and gentlemen, dream big. The future's bright for rural Ontario. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Thompson. I want to direct your eyes to the big screen for a short video.